Hey Tea Club, really special flavor we got for you this month. It's an infrared gushu hongcha that we got from our friends at West China Tea. Now, this infrared, okay, what does that mean? It doesn't have to sound all like sci-fi or anything like that, right? The infrared, it just speaks to the processing. This tea was processed and oxidized under the sun. So very, very natural method. And so that's the infrared light of the sun. So they're calling it an infrared tea. Okay. The other thing is that it's a gushu. That translates as old tree, right? And by and large, a lot of these old leaves are typically reserved for the pu'er production. And so to have some old leaves set aside for red tea is a very, very rare treat indeed. Now, I've already went ahead and warmed up my vessel before we started, so let's just go ahead and put some in here. We get quite a bit this month, 100 grams, and so really, really generous as we head into this fall season. That's plenty for you to enjoy yourself, plenty for you to give and gift, plenty for you to serve and share. Lots of ways to enjoy this tea and plenty of it for you to build a good relationship with. Now, I'm going to use my porcelain gaiwan for this, and it's just me, so I'll go a little light. I'll eyeball it, there you go. Not much, about 5 to 7 grams or so. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on my lid. Again, that porcelain gaiwan is still warm. I just put some boiling water in there a moment ago. And so those leaves are now steeping in that warmth, kind of like a little sauna, if you will. Now, gentle agitation. Let's see what kind of aromas we get, because red tea is famous for the nose, right? And so leathery notes, tobacco notes. Let me smell the lid. Smell the vessel. Quite nice. So the dry leaf has a bit of a vegetal note to it, has, grassy notes to it. But let's see, once we put this water to it, I'll bring my water back up to temperature. We're using about 190 or so degrees Fahrenheit. Good. I suppose you could go a little bit hotter. However, these leaves are already open, long, and quite delicate. And so you wouldn't want to scald them, right? And so just a really quick flash steep. Again, this is about 190 degrees Fahrenheit. The nature of these teas call for a first rinse. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pour that off. I get to observe the color, get to observe the clarity, get a nice whiff of the liqueur, not bad. Get to bless my tea pets. I like to air out the decanter a little bit and then give that a whiff too. Quite nice, very subtle, very soft. It's amazing that even an empty cup still gives you an aroma. It's kind of like the fragrance of a flower left on your fingers after you pick it. That wasn't me, that was Rumi. Anyway, okay, let's smell the lid now. Oh my goodness. Wow. So all of those green vegetal notes have now bloomed into like an almond aroma. Oh my goodness. There's honey. There's wood. There's smoke. Wow, this cherry. Oh my goodness. Really, really nice treat. And these flavors, these profiles really speak to like a nice late evening, after dinner, digestive, right? So those are kind of the times that this profile really speaks to. It's like gingery, spicy, you know? It's like a really, really nice warming, so perfect for this time of year. Okay, so water's cooled off a little bit. We're at 190 now. Go ahead and brew. Again, just a flash steep is all you need. These teas aren't going to have endurance, okay? Heads up. You're not going to get, the 30, 40 steeps that you would get out of some of our pours. For these, 5 good steeps, 7 good steeps, hey, good job, right? But really, it's less about the endurance for these and more about the impact of the aroma and the color and the clarity and so many other things to enjoy. Okay, here we go. To your health. Yeah, that's definitely old tree chi, right? Just smelling of it, it's very anchoring and grounding. Mm. So, worth note, right? A lot of these aromatic varieties that have, fragrant noses, almost perfumey, right? And so some of these reds, these dansongs, some of these wuis, very, very fragrant, very perfumey, right? And so there's that element, but oh, it's so soft and smooth and it doesn't turn bitter or anything like that. 'Cause sometimes those teas that are very fragrant, sometimes they go bitter. But oh my God, that is really, really nice. It's the oxidation of the tea that makes it red like this, right? Gives liqueur. And interestingly enough, what we in Chinese tea culture will call red tea, in English tea culture they call black tea, right? And this is exactly why, right? See, so the liqueur is red, so hong cha, right? Red tea, but the leaves are oxidized black, and so the English call it black tea, right? Same, but different. If there was any other difference, it would likely be in the preparation, right? And so here, as you can see, we love the whole long, broad leaf, right? And it's still kind of dry and bound. So as it heats up and brews, it's going to bloom and open. So we can enjoy this over the course of several flash steepings, right? So we just blanch the tea leaves really, really quick. Whereas for your English black teas, right? Again, another lightly roasted, heavily oxidized, processed tea. They like to crush it and crumble it and break it into powder and put it into these bags to kind of get the most potency you can get out of those leaves and then they'll steep long, like 3 to 5 minutes, and you may not be able to steep it again after that, right? And so even though very, very similar tea in terms of product, very, very different in terms of processing and appreciation. Okay, so here we go. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay, let's give it one more good steep. Typically for these tastings, I only do 2 or 3 rounds. You know, again, I'm not expecting big endurance from this tea. So, just 2 or 3 steeps should give me a good idea of what's available. The other thing is that it's not all densely pressed and bound like some of these pours, and it's already long and open. And so, again, as you could see, it's not going to take much to really get the most potency out of these leaves. So just 3 to 5 steeps, maybe 7 steeps. I think that's another reason why we got so much of it this month, just because it doesn't have the endurance. All right, one more steep. I'm gonna push it a little bit. I went up to kind of 195, 200. I'm gonna push the temperature a little bit, see how hard we can go, give it some gentle agitation. Something I was doing with my buddy Coco, we were doing some samples and we were kind of really pushing the parameters. It's like, yeah, brew it the way you would brew it and brew it well, but also kind of intentionally make a few mistakes. Maybe go a little bit hotter than you normally would, maybe steep it a little longer than you normally would, and see if the tea holds up, right? See if you still get that smooth character, that smooth profile. So let's see. Does the ancient tree hold up? Happy to note, it does. Wow. Yeah, I went a little bit hotter, steeped it a little bit longer. You could see it's clearly a little bit darker. These leaves have now opened up, wow, completely. It can take it. Yeah. I think that's one of the bigger benefits of having these ancient trees, these old trees, as opposed to these little tea bushes, these little delicate leaves and these delicate sprouts. These are from tea trees that you have to legit climb up into, and these sprouts are oftentimes as big as your hand. And yeah, they can take the heat. Wow, wonderful. Well, I have some guests coming soon, so I'm going to cut this short. But if you guys got this tea at the house and you're in our club and you're brewing it too, leave us a note in the comments. Let us know how you're brewing it and how you're pushing the parameters and what kind of flavor profiles you're getting. Then, of course, if you're not in our club, then I'll put a link for you there in the description too. You can join the club also. Okay, all right. Enjoy.